Serving it up to you live on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. I'm Bruce Nolan. That's Nate Geary. And this is Food for Thought, a show combining two of your three favorite F words. That's right, food and football. The third word is farts.
I think you've already used that one, Bruce.
Have I used farts before?
I think you've used farts.
Well, I was going to talk about how immature we were. Okay, you know what?
You've used farts.
We're going to go ahead and rewind it. It's flowers tonight. And I'll tell you why it's flowers. Because I just finished watching Thor: Love and Thunder on Disney Plus, and Flowers Are for Love. It's a Marvel movie. So we're gonna go with that. It's gonna be delightful.
Not a Marvel guy. So
I'm a Marvel guy.
That checks out.
Yeah, it's pretty much everybody would expect that. That would track. You know, you'd be like, is Bruce a Marvel guy? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's pretty much what we were expecting at that point.
That makes sense.
A reminder that this show and every show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network is presented by Picasso's Pizza. Picasso's Pizza, the real Buffalo pizza. Get yourself the best tasting slice on game day. Order in person or online at picassospizza.net. Mr. Geary.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm well. I'm feeling generous. So Richard, JR, Karen, can all three of you guys please direct message me your addresses on Twitter, because I'm going to send all three of you a Genesee Brewing Company pie class.
Boom. Look at us go. We're just giving away stuff. Just giving away the farm. That's how we do it.
Unless you already got one and you don't want one. But if you didn't get one and you want one, or if you got one and you want another one.
Can I get one?
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be another one? Part of my care package I still haven't gotten yet? What do you think?
Yeah, you know, like I'm still, what I need to do is, I haven't decided if I'm just going to, I have not had the Oktoberfest yet, Genesee Brewing Company. I bought some for my fantasy draft a couple weeks ago, and all of them were drinking. Had been consumed before I had an opportunity to try one. So JR, I'll make sure I get your address from Bruce. Don't worry. But yeah, so I haven't had to try. What would you rather have? The cranberry one. Hold on. Let me Genesee Brewing Company.
Are we Googling things live on the show again? Is that what's happening?
We do it all the time. The cran orange. It's called the cran orange Kellenbayer.
I would rather have the cran orange Kellenbayer.
Okay, you want the cran orange Kellenbayer? I can get.
I am not an Oktoberfest guy.
Have you tried it though?
Well, I'm not typically an Oktoberfest guy. The fall spices are not really my thing.
It's
usually but pumpkin and nutmeg and things like that. I'm like, nah, I'm out.
But that's not Oktoberfest.
Okay, so what is Oktoberfest then?
Oktoberfest is sort of a darker, comforting, not heavy, but it's just darker. You're not getting any true fall flavors. It's just the transition into darker beer season.
I don't know. Go look up the actual, ingredients for that beer, and I'll bet you there's something weird in there.
What kind of beer is Oktoberfest? It is a lager, so it's just a dark lager.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah,
how about that?
The cran orange.
Okay, I'll send you a 12er of cran orange, and I'll get you some. I'll get you some mustard too, because I owe you some mustard as well. Mustard. Although I've been using the hell out of that mustard.
Go ahead, make sure if you're here with us, you are liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing. I feel like it's been a minute since we got a review. So go to the podcast network or go to the YouTube channel, drop us a nice comment or something like that, so we know that you love us, because we're sensitive and we need the validation.
Very sensitive.
Because that's just kind of the way we are, you know. We're very, very fragile egos here. We need constant validation.
Fragile, yeah.
But you know what? If we didn't have fragile egos and we had been well fed, then we wouldn't be hangry. But occasionally you get hangry. Now, why on earth, Bruce, would you pick foods that you eat when you're hangry for this topic? Well, because this week's matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans features the top 2 all-time leaders in Kyle Brandt's Angry Runs trophy.
Ooh.
Josh Allen and Derrick Henry. And so I decided that we're going to do hangry runs. We're going to talk about hangry runs. We're going to talk about foods that you want to eat when you're hangry, when you are so grumpy that you just need to eat something. What is it that's going to make the world okay again? Nate?
It's not a one I'm particularly proud of, Bruce. Do you? Okay. I hope. Okay.
No judgment here.
This is
some judgment.
This is something that I'm actively trying to change about myself, but it's fast food, and it's probably like a burger of some sort. It doesn't always have to be McDonald's, but it could be Burger King. I've really sworn off the Wendy's game. It's not really for me. I don't know what it is.
Surprise, man.
I used to really like Wendy's. This used to be a proper country. Wendy's used to be a proper. Wendy's used to be a proper fast food destination. It's not really anymore. So, yeah, I don't know what it is, Bruce. When I'm like in a grumpy mood, all I want is like a big, giant, greasy burger, or in the case of McDonald's, just a kind of a small burger, because they're not really big. I mean, you could get a quarter pounder, a double quarter pounder with cheese, but when I'm like in that true hangry mood, I'm really just kind of looking for a sulk style food, a sulking food. And I feel like I can really drown my sorrows in the grease that comes on a McDonald's cheeseburger,
No, I get it completely. I understand completely. Sometimes you feel like something that you know is not good for you. It's just the way it is.
Right.
It's a little bit like when people who are really, really stressed go, I need a smoke. You know what I mean? You feel like something that's really bad for you. For me, I try and go the opposite direction. I try and go, I need something good for me. I need something that's going to help calm me down. For me, it is green tea. So one of the things that is...
But you're hungry.
Yes, I am. But I need to calm down because I'm hangry. So green tea is it for me. So I'll give you a great example. My wife right now is preparing a green tea for me. We make green tea with honey, and I usually drink it while I'm doing a show. And the reason I drink it while I'm doing a show is because I'm not used to talking this much.
Yeah. Give me a frigging break, Bruce. Give me a break.
Over the course of my normal day, I don't actually speak that much. All of my talking is done on these shows, and I'm exhausted when it's over. But I got to keep the voice lubricated.
That's what I got.
I'm not really used. Yes, that's what you got that for. And so for me, I absolutely need to have some green tea. So when I'm doing the show on Wednesday night, when I'm recording the Bruce exclusive, on Fridays, when I'm recording Food for Thought, I need things like that. When I get hangry, it also, because it's hot, it forces you to drink it slowly, which forces you to slow down, slows your heart rate. Maybe you bring it up to your mouth and you give it a good... All of the relaxation that you need is in a gigantic mug of green tea. Usually, it'll be in some sort of wonderful mug with some sort of wonderful life lesson on it. Like my wife has one. My wife is a Harry Potter person, and she's a Hufflepuff. And
she's a Hufflepuff.
She's a Hufflepuff. My wife is a Hufflepuff. And
what are you?
I'm a Ravenclaw.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm a Ravenclaw. Yeah. But she's a Hufflepuff, and her mug says, "I don't give a the bad word that we don't say here."
Sure.
Yeah, we don't say words like that because this is a PG-13. We only allowed one of them, and we're not allowed any of them because it's not really PG. It's actually a PG show, is what it is.
It is PG, yeah.
Because if it was PG-13, I would be allowed one F-bomb per show. As just quick little aside here, because we're already off on tangent. The greatest one-off F-bomb of all time is in X-Men First Class. Hands down. The greatest, 100% greatest one-off F-bomb in any PG-13 movie ever is when Magneto and Charles Xavier are trying to recruit a bunch of mutants, and Wolverine has a cameo, and they just walk right up to him, and he drops the F-bomb, and they turn right around and walk right out. And that's the end. That's the whole scene. It is the greatest one-off F-bomb and scene of all time. It is hands down. Karen says she's never watched a Harry Potter movie. Karen, you don't love fun. That's the problem. You need to love fun more. My wife will help you with that. It will help you to make sure. Yes, my wife is a Hufflepuff. I am a Ravenclaw, and she has a fun thing. But green tea is my food for when I'm hangry because I want to go the opposite direction.
If you had to guess what I was, what house? What house would you think that I was in?
You're absolutely a Hufflepuff.
I am not.
You're not? What are you?
I am not.
No way.
Gryffindor, bro.
No. When did you take a test that said you were Gryffindor?
This is going to come off even more sad than it should sound, but I'm pretty sure I have a certificate saved on my computer on my desktop.
A PDF? You're going to email me? You share your screen? No, guys, seriously, I'm a Hufflepuff. I don't know. Yeah. I'm a Gryffindor. Everybody wants to be a Gryffindor. Nobody wants to be a Ravenclaw. We're the nerds of the group.
You are the nerds of the group.
I am the nerd of the group. I'm the nerd.
You are the nerd.
Whatever group I'm actually in, that's the group that has the nerd. That's exactly what it is. And right on cue, Mrs. Nolan walking in the door with the green tea. So,
hi, Mrs. Nolan.
Yes, Nate says hi to Mrs. Nolan, and Mrs. Nolan says hi, and now she's on her way out. So that was it. That was wonderful. That was Mrs. Nolan, ladies and gentlemen. So if the upcoming Titans-Bills game, Nate, was a food. Now, I mentioned that we talked about hangry because of angry runs and Derrick Henry and Josh Allen. Well, if the upcoming Titans-Bills game was a food, here's what food I think it would be. It would be an open-faced roast beef sandwich.
Root roast beef.
Yes, an open-faced roast beef sandwich. And I'll tell you why. Every open-faced sandwich you've ever had is just an excuse to turn it into a casserole, right? I mean, open-faced sandwiches aren't even sandwiches. They're eaten with a fork. And what happens is people take the opportunity to make them far messier. Now, we have a problem in today's society. We make sandwiches way too messy. We throw all this crap on here.
That is right.
You can barely fit your mouth around it. It's got 9 million different ingredients, and you go, it's a sandwich. No, it's not. This is a frustration wrapped around a bun. That's what this is. This is people who have OCD. This is their worst nightmare. That's what this is. This is not a sandwich. This is an abomination. It is an affront to God and to Alton Brown himself.
Make sandwiches conservative again.
Absolutely. And what we've done is we go, oh, we'll just take the top bun off. We'll just call it an open-faced sandwich. No, that doesn't make it any better. So what an open-faced sandwich is now is it is everything that you think a sandwich, an entire plate should be, only just muck the heck up, right? You got roast beef, you got gravy. They'll throw mashed potatoes on the sandwich. They'll drown the whole thing in there, put stuffing on there. And they're like, oh, because it's an open-faced sandwich. No, it's an entire Thanksgiving plate that is all thrown in one thing. Because if the weather is as poor as it might be, because it might be rainy.
I hope it's not. It's not.
If it's a bunch of rainy and the Titans have Derrick Henry, it's going to be sloppy. And just like an open-faced sandwich, it has all of the constructs of a football game, right? There's an oblong ball. There are people saying hike. We're trying to get in the end zone. But it's an extra sloppy version of the thing you like. And that's what makes it an open-faced root beer sandwich. Not root beer, roast beef. What is wrong with me? It's the second time I tried to say root beer sandwich.
2 times.
I think I need a root beer is what I need. I'll have one when I'm done with my green tea. But
you have root beer lying around?
Absolutely. Have great root beer. Root beer is one of my few sodas that I keep on hand. And I keep it, I have it as a dessert occasionally. I was like, I want a dessert. I'm gonna have a root beer. And
I can't tell you the last time. Can't tell you the last time I've had root beer. Can I tell you one of the reasons why too is for whatever reason root beer tends to be caffeine free. I hate that. Hate it. But a good root beer float is a very elite thing. But yeah, I can't tell you the last time I've had a root beer.
Okay, so if the upcoming Bills-Titans game was a food and it wasn't a root beer, but instead was a roast beef sandwich, what would you think it would be while we're rocking it out?
It would be, Bruce, if Titans-Bills were a food, it would be chicken salad. Because, Bruce, much like revenge, chicken salad is best served cold. And for me, there are a lot of components to a great chicken sandwich, right? There are other, well, the most important part is the chicken. Some might argue it's the mayonnaise. My girlfriend does not really. There's 100% mayo in it. I understand this, so it's not completely, mayo free when my girlfriend makes it for me. But I really do love chicken salad. Little dried cranberries in there, some chopped up celery, right? Like a really nice, rich, fresh sandwich. And this has a lot of makings of what could potentially be a revenge game, Bruce, for the Bills, right? I mean, to the last 2 seasons, this is a Tennessee Titans team that sort of had the Bills number. And, last year they beat them 34-31 on a kind of a fluky slip by Josh Allen at the goal line. And the year before, the flukiness of the COVID thing and the game getting moved and everything that sort of happened. I felt like the Bills sort of had a bad taste in their mouth for that one. And now the Bills and Titans, I feel like, are on 2 very, very different trajectories, right? Like one feels like they're going down, the other one kind of feels like they're going up. And I think for the Bills, there's got to be a desire to, especially in a national broadcast, put a Tennessee Titans season. Listen, I know it's not the brink, but 0-2. Very few 0-2 teams. It's a very low percentage, Bruce, of teams that start the season 0-2 that make it to the playoffs. So what you want to do if you're the Bills is put the Tennessee Titans in a position early in this season that puts them trying to play from behind in a division that, I don't know what Jacksonville is going to be, but I feel like they're going to be better this year. The Colts, I don't know what that was week 1, not going to lie, tying the Houston Texans. And then Houston seems like they're going to be a sneaky, difficult team to win, to beat each week in and week out. So, I went with chicken salad, mostly not because of the components so much as it is a food that is just best served cold, much like the revenge the Bills are going to likely be serving up the Tennessee Titans on Monday morning, or Monday night, I should say, not Monday morning. Hopefully not Monday morning. I'll be working.
Yes, that would be a whole thing. I would very much like for it to not take place
No.
Monday. I'm glad we don't live in the COVID year where we ended up rescheduling games for like 5:00 on Tuesday.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, although having a Tuesday game to jumble in my week wasn't the worst thing. It was the like random times, 5:10, and just like random times some of those games were going on.
Yeah, very weird. And multiple reschedules.
I don't miss the COVID. Yeah, I don't miss the COVID era.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not interested in going back. No, thank you.
No, ain't going back.
And you know who would be interested in going back is the Bills fans who really, really, really loved to watch the Buffalo Bills defense against the Los Angeles Rams offense put a shellacking on them. And I wrote about it in my column for Buffalo Rumblings this week. And what I wrote that the game against the Los Angeles Rams for the Bills defense was almost the pinnacle of a process that started 5 years ago. And that is that the back seven has been fairly stable for the entirety of the Sean McDermott era. But there was tweak after tweak after tweak after tweak to the front four over and over and over again. Overhaul after overhaul after overhaul after overhaul. They almost have eras of the front four into Sean McDermott tenure. Inside the Sean McDermott tenure, you still have the Vernon Butler, Quentin Jefferson era, right? And all things like that. Star Lotulelei, Trent Murphy era.
Right.
And
the Trent Murphy era. Yeah.
Yes, the Trent Murphy era. And I felt like it was the accumulation of 5 years of work. Like he finally got it right? He finally got the perfect marriage. But for me, if I was to use a food simile, because that's what we do.
It is what we do.
The performance of the defense last week, made me feel like I was going to Shake Shack for the first time. So I like Shake Shack. We've talked about this before. Shake Shack, Whataburger, Five Guys. As far as regional fast casual burger chains, I'm interested. I love cheeseburgers. Huge cheeseburger guy. Very picky about it. But I had a pretty good idea that I was going to like Shake Shack when I went. You have a pretty good idea.
I've never had it, but I feel like I'd like it.
You feel like you like it. You have a pretty good idea. You're like, you know what? You don't want to go in expecting it to be the best thing in the world, right? But you do want to go in with an idea that I expect that I will enjoy this. That's what I expect will happen. And so when you think to yourself, okay, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the Shake Shack and I think I'm going to like it. But then you have it, and not only do you like it, it's really, really good. Like, your expectations were moderately high. You were optimistic, even cautiously. But then you go in and you go, wow, that was really good. I sure hope that when I go back the next time, it'll be that good again. That's the way I feel when it comes to performance of the defense last week. For me, I think I had high expectations for the Buffalo Bills defense this year for all the reasons we just talked about. The back seven is basically identical, even without Tre'Davious White. The back seven is still really good. And when you add Von Miller and a piece that I've consistently pumped up over the course of the offseason, Daquan Jones, when you add those players, you expect, okay, this is the iteration that will get us what we want, right? Von Miller is the finisher, right? We've talked about pressures and sacks for what seems like 4 years. And this is going to be the finisher. Ed Oliver's going to come into his own. It's going to be great. We got Jordan Phillips back, who's an unbelievable rotational piece.
Yep.
You have the second year of Gregory Rousseau, the third year of A.J. Epinesa, the second year of Boogie Basham. This is going to be the final frontier, right? This is the final form of the front four. The final form of the front four. There we go. There's an alliterative fun for you. That was my F word right there. It was food, football, and the final form of the front four. Which has 4 F words, by the way, which works that way.
All it took was to get through halfway through the show to figure that one out, Bruce. It's fine.
And some green tea.
Yes, well, that's arguably the most important part of it.
Hands down the most important thing. So to me, it was like having Shake Shack. I went in with reasonable expectations, but then the second I had them, there was 2 thoughts that went through my head. Oh my gosh, this is even better. And I hope it looks that good again. And that's where I'm at with the Buffalo Bills defense. The Buffalo Bills defense shut down a really good offense. Now, sample size is still 1, right? But really optimistic. I don't go into this game expecting Derrick Henry to bust out 140 yards and 3 touchdowns again. I don't. I would be shocked if he did.
I also would be shocked. Yeah.
Because the Bills have historically done fairly well against Derrick Henry when it comes to carries and yards. Now, on the goal line, they give up touchdowns, but everyone gives on the goal line touchdowns to Derrick Henry. That's what he does. But they don't get there as much. So for me, that's why I feel with the Buffalo Bills defense. It was better than I expected, and now I'm just waiting around to see if I get more sample size. Nate, how about you?
I am going to go with the Bills' defensive performance last week against the Los Angeles Rams, and what that makes me feel like. It makes me feel like my favorite restaurant, Bruce, is getting new ownership. It's getting new equipment, new cooking equipment, right? Like new grills, maybe up to date, new types of deep fryers, or just the newest technology in cooking attire, right? Better quality ingredients, but it's all of your same dishes, right? It's the same defense we've seen for the last however many years, 5 years, 6 years that Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier have been here. And there has been no fundamental changes to the scheme, Bruce, but there's better equipment. There's better ingredients. There might be a better chef in that kitchen now. And that's kind of like what it reminds me of is, like I'm still getting the same chicken Parmesan, and I'm still getting the same, Italian beef sandwich that I had before, but now I'm getting organic pasture-fed beef, and now I'm getting, home house-made breads and ciabattas, and like that's kind of what I'm feeling like this Bills defense has now, right? Like it has that elite level Hall of Fame pass rusher with Von Miller that, again, I know we going into last week, or going into our show Friday, you and I talked about how Von Miller looked more like the defensive player of the year version of Von Miller than the guy we saw like at the end of his career, who kind of looked like he was toning down a bit in Denver. And then you go and you see him sort of revive some of that prime level Von Miller play in the playoffs last year. But the guy we saw week 1, Bruce, looked energized. He looked renewed, right? I mean, he looked like the prime version of Von Miller. And if that's what the Bills got for 6 years, $120 million, I know it's not going to be the number at the end of the day that it likely ends up being. But if that's what the Bills, if the Bills are going to get that for 18, 20, 25 games, man, it's going to be one of the best investments this franchise has ever made. And it would be a hard press for me if this team doesn't win a Super Bowl.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Bruce, if they're getting the performance we saw from week 1 for 18, 20, 25 games from Von Miller, they've got one of the best pass rushers in football. And it's starting to rub off on Gregory Rousseau. It's starting to rub off on Boogie Basham. I'm excited to see the trajectory for Boogie Basham now. Bruce, like that's a guy that had gotten drafted, was a second round pick, in my opinion, because of his motor, because of his desire to play, and how he plays football was sort of just, it was tailor-made for Sean McDermott, for Leslie Frazier, for this organization, right? And he's a hustle guy. He's not going to flash you with, the athleticism and the height and weight and the things that make Gregory Rousseau special are not the things that make Boogie Basham special. They're not the things that make AJ Epinesa special. They're not the things that make Tim Settle or Ed Oliver. They just have a bunch of different pieces that all bring a unique, different skill set or a different, motor and engine level and energy level and spark plug to this defense. And when one guy comes in and the next guy follows, there's not that drop off, Bruce. There's and as much as all of us really liked Harrison Phillips, it is just so obvious that they needed that upgrade. And Jordan Phillips is several $1 million cheaper, and right now through the first game of the season, that move, that swap is paying dividends.
It absolutely is. And, one of the things I wasn't expecting to see from this defense is I was not expecting to see a player like AJ Epinesa have the same get off time as Von Miller. That's what they have ability now to take chips that are in your, not potato chips, but microchips that are in your shoulder pads and use them to track the amount of time it takes after the ball is snapped for you to cross the line of scrimmage, right? It's get off time. Anything less than 0.8 is good. Von Miller and AJ Epinesa were both in the 0.6s. Now tell me you didn't watch AJ Epinesa coming out of college at every bit of 286 pounds and thought, yeah, speed rusher. That's what he's going to be. We're going to turn him into a speed rusher. I don't even know the same guy. I was on with Coach Vass on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the Bills defense. And I said, you would never look at AJ Epinesa and think to yourself, yeah, they thought he might have been a 5 tech when he came out of college.
Right.
They were thinking, oh, maybe he'll be a 3-4.
3-4 base end. Yep. 3-4 end. Edge setter, Stephon Tuitt type.
Right. And now I'm starting to realize that there's a method to the madness when it comes to Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, and taking these players like this. What they've come to realize is that when you get thinner, your arms don't get shorter. That's why you take people like Gregory Rousseau and AJ Epinesa, who both of them had the same, is he Eric Armstead questions coming out of college. Is he not really a 4-3 base end? Is he really like an Eric Armstead kind of player, right? Is he a Brenston Buckner sort of player? Like, what kind of player is this, right? Both of them took that role and then they slimmed down. And when you get slimmer, your arms don't get shorter.
That's right.
and that's the joy. They get these gigantic people with long arms and they say, oh, we're going to drop you some weight. That way you get to pick up the speed, but you get to keep the length. And so there's a method to the madness, but that's one of the things I was not expecting to see. And I'm continually shocked when I see it. He's
24 years old, Bruce.
He's
still really young in the development process, right? And there's clearly more there, and that's why you stick around with a guy like AJ Epinesa. Plus, I mean, he's a second round pick. And yeah, I overall, to see that week 1 performance from Epinesa, to see that week 1 performance from Jordan Phillips and Von Miller and Greg Rousseau and Carlos Basham, there's a lot to like about this defense. Now, they're going to have to potentially get through this game on Monday night without their top two of their top 3 interior defensive linemen in Ed Oliver, who's dealing with that ankle, and Tim Settle, who's dealing with the calf. But this line has been built to not necessarily overcome those losses, but to at least get by if they lose a guy or two at any point this season, which looks like we're going to test that depth very early on here.
Steve in the comment section says, but 2 of our DTs may not play, and Jackson is also injured, worried. Number one, I care about participation on Saturday. That's why I care about participation on Saturday, because Saturday is the Friday because the game is on Monday.
That's right. That's
so
right.
Today was a walkthrough on Friday, which means they're really not going to tell you anything about participation. So I'll worry about participation on Saturday. The second thing is, if there was a game when you wanted to have some injuries on defense, it's the Titans game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because the Titans are a bad offense. I'm saying it because they're not the Rams.
Yeah, and they're predictable on offense.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 65% zone rushing team with Derrick Henry coming downhill, and he's going to smack you for 3 yards at a time until he breaks a 60-yarder. That's just the way it is.
Pop play action behind you, so you can run your zones. You just got to, what you have to do, Bruce, is you got to rely on the corners. You got to rely on your 2 rookies in Kyer Elam and Christian Benford to play and tackle in this football game. And something that Kyer Elam does not love to do, but to play physically, to tackle. That's what those defensive backs are going to have to do in this game, because there's a good chance Derrick Henry is going to get to the edge. There's a good chance that he's going to get to the second level. And I think you're going to see a huge, huge performance. You're going to need one from Daquan Jones in this game.
I watched Derrick Henry back again, and
he doesn't look the same anymore, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the hit is getting overrated, because he was leaving the ground to try and hurdles. Like, he was trying to step kind of over somebody when he got hit. So that big hit that the Giants linebacker laid on him, I think that one's getting overplayed a little bit, because he was kind of in the air when he got hit there.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
That one's like, oh, Derrick Henry's mortal because he got hit. He's still a big guy who runs fast. That's just the way it is.
That's right.
Still a big guy who runs fast. So Troy says he's got a food simile for us. It's lobster tail at Red Lobster, but knowing it can get better when going to an elite restaurant, like when Trey gets back. So the defense, he says, is having lobster tail, but having it at Red Lobster. It's a great food, right? But it's still Red Lobster. You can still do better.
Hey, don't talk down to my cheddar bays, bro. Don't you dare talk down to my cheddar bays.
Did I ever tell you that Mrs. Nolan can make cheddar bays?
Yeah, I mean, everybody can make cheddar bays.
She makes cheddar bays, and they're fantastic.
They are. It's a great concept. What steakhouse is it? It's not Outback. Outback has the little mini loaves of wheat bread, which, listen, I think when we're talking about chain restaurants, here's the one thing you're going to notice about every chain restaurant. They've always got a go-to appetizer, because what they're trying to do is distract you away from how terrible the entree. Well, not terrible, but just how mediocre that entree is going to be.
Aggressively mediocre.
Yeah, like let's have Olive Garden have the breadsticks. Let's have the bloomin' onion if we're Outback. Let's have the delicious warm bread with the really delicious whipped butter if we're Outback Steakhouse too. They've got a really good, and Longhorn Steakhouse, right? Like, so you go to the and Cheddar Bay biscuits for Red Lobster, right? So like that is, I'm starting to catch on to these chain restaurants and the idea that Ruby Tuesdays has the salad bar, baby back ribs. Thanks, Jessica, for Chili's. Jessica, if you follow me on Twitter, shoot me a DM and send me your address. I'll send you over a Genesee Brewing Company pint glass, courtesy of our proud sponsor here, Genesee Brewing Company. That's 4. I just gave away. That's 4 pint glasses I've given away.
You did give away 4 pint glasses. Goodness gracious. That's the thing about Genesee Brewery. That's the thing that makes them such an awesome partner for the show, because we both love Genesee products, and we love to be able to just randomly bust into the ad read at any given time, because since 1878, Genesee has poured generations of brewing knowledge into each pint, can, and bottle of their beer. Nate, I've heard they don't make any sacrifices when it comes to their beer, brewing each with the highest quality ingredients for a consistently great drinking experience. Look for Genesee Beer, Genesee Light, Cream Ale, and their specialty line with beers like Ruby Red Kolsch and Oktoberfest. Genesee Brewery, Rochester, New York. So this is really important. Cran Orange Keller beer.
Yeah.
It says it's brewed with Genesee's German heritage in mind, but with a modern twist of cranberry and orange. The result is a bright, slightly sweet lager with a refreshing light malt body. Nate, I got to be honest, man, that sounds delicious, and I need you to have it to me as soon as possible.
Okay, deal. I can. There's plenty of those at the store. They're not running.
I'm absolutely in. I'm 100% in on that. Have you had it yet?
I have. Yes,
Is it as good
as
pineapple Kolsch?
No,
because I missed out. Oh no,
no. I mean, it's very good.
I missed out on the pineapple Kolsch.
Pineapple Kolsch. But the good news is it was so popular that's going to be back next year.
You think?
That'll be back.
Do you think we could start like a petition if it's not?
I got a guy.
Do you think they'll listen to us?
I know a guy. I know a guy.
All right.
I'm the guy, Bruce. Like I'm the guy. I'm the Kolsch king. So
Jessica brings up a good point. Applebee's doesn't really have a go-to.
Yes, it does.
Okay, what's Applebee's go-to?
Applebee's is the boneless chicken fingers, the boneless chicken wings.
That's their go-to thing?
Yeah, Buffalo Poppers or whatever they are. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's been
if I go to the front page, all you can eat wings is right on the front page. That's Applebee's.
Yes, all
you can eat boneless wings.
Yes, all you can. Yeah, that's their right. Fill up on these boneless wings.
Is that always their thing, or is that just their thing seasonally?
Yes, and it's just like, remember Fridays always used to have the was what they said, like the extended happy hours, where it was like all you can eat appetizers.
Sure, yeah.
Because and here's the one thing I will say about this: R.I.P. to the Fridays Jack Daniel's burger, because that thing was actually freaking amazing. The Jack Daniel's jelly
sauce, yeah,
it was the jelly. They made like a Jack Daniel's jelly that they would spread on the burger, and it was like super potenty, delicious, bourbony with some onion. Oh man,
it was almost like an
longer
onion jam.
The days. Yes, like longer the days where we got to enjoy a Jack Daniel's burger from Fridays. I haven't been to Fridays or Applebee's in, my God, man. First of all, try to convince me that Applebee's and Fridays just aren't covers for some sort of mob and or drug activity, because I had never see anybody inside Applebee's or Fridays.
As somebody who the FBI is already chasing, I don't think you want to go down this road, my friend.
But tell me,
want any more heat on us than needs to be?
When was the last time you've driven past an Applebee's and been like, wow, that place is packed, or there's a line out the door?
What year is it now?
It's 2022, the Lord's year, 2022.
93? 94? I mean, it's been at least 20 years. Maybe 30.
I will tell you, the last time I had Applebee's was when they hosted our pancake breakfast my junior year for our football team. So I had pancakes that I made at Applebee's. That was the last time I remember eating Applebee's. So in Hamburg, like right near the stadium, actually right down the street from the stadium by the McKinley Mall, there was this corner that had Olive Garden, Ruby Tuesdays, TGA Fridays, and Applebee's, all next to each other.
That's like the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, and then there was a Manchurian. Then there was a Manchurian buffet on the other corner as well. And that was always kind of my go-to, because it was the kind of place where, as in high school, you could ride your bike for $10.99, eat enough to vomit. Which is when I knew I was full, when I was like 16.
Sure.
When I had a vomit, I knew that I had eaten enough.
One of my favorite lines of all time from Parks and Rec is when Andy Dwyer says, "I'm allergic to sushi. After I've had 80 sushis, I throw up."
Yeah. Yes, Andy.
Yes, that's what that means, Andy. Thank you for sharing.
So Parks and Rec, now that we're, this is, by the way, if you're new, this is the first time you're watching or listening to Food for Thought, this is called Tangent Hour. This is where Bruce and I allow our ADHD to get the best of us. And Bruce will say something that will turn into a 3 to 5 minute conversation that is unrelated to anything we've talked about for the rest of the podcast. And that's part of the glory of Food for Thought. It's that you can sort of enjoy the fact that there are two very flawed, very immature in their own heads, and their inability to move from, or I would say over ability to move from idea to idea. That's the beauty of the show. So we're really connecting a lot of dots here on the show, if this is the first time, or if you're like Karen or JR or Liam, you you've been here a while, so you kind of know the craziness, what to expect. We just went on a tangent about Applebee's Fridays and Ruby Tuesdays, and now I want to quickly say that it took me a really long time to get into Parks and Rec. I watched it, I loved it, and I have not watched it back yet. And I feel that the two shows right now that I need to go back and rewatch fully in its totality: Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks and Rec.
Well, they're both made by the same guy,
Yep.
Michael Schur.
Yep.
They are two of my top 10 favorite shows of all time.
Agreed.
Parks and Rec and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is so good.
This is embarrassing. This is so embarrassing for me.
And
I haven't finished The Good Place yet. Which is the third Michael Schur show. It's the other one that he made. I haven't finished it yet. We're trying to work our way through the Goldbergs right now. When we're done with the Goldbergs, then we're going to hit
How is the
Place.
Goldbergs?
It starts off weird, and then it really hits its stride. Season 2, 3, 4, really good. And then it just kind of tapers off from there. At this point, it's almost like Big Bang in the sense I just want it to be over now.
Yeah. And see, that's the problem for me for modern day sitcoms, because first of all, I'm a big Jeff Garland fan. I mean, he and Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm are as good as it gets. Are you a Curb guy?
I've only watched like 3 episodes of Curb.
Oh gosh almighty.
I enjoyed it, but I don't have Curb is on HBO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have HBO.
Listen, this is the great part. And if the FBI is listening, cover your ears. I wouldn't mind password sharing with you. You could throw on the HBO sometime if you felt necessary.
Appreciate that. I'll let you know.
That's what friends are for. Well, what else would you do this podcast with me if I couldn't share a password or two with you?
Well, I thought I was just here hanging on your coattails. Like that was the entire idea.
Well, I'm swimming in my wake. Yes, you're swimming in my wake.
In your wake. I'm using you to drift, right? I'm basically just using your star to partially illuminate myself.
Yeah, I mean, so that's most of my friends. So that makes sense.
I mean, you knew what this was,
right?
Yeah,
I knew from the beginning, Bruce. I knew what exactly to expect. So don't worry.
I'm just using you to further my own ambition.
Yeah.
I can't say it with a straight face. The guy who doesn't
show his
face somehow.
It's the one thing overwhelmingly than our love for Picasso's Pizza, who is another sponsor of our show. Me and Miss Nolan have a lot in common in that, you're just like an anchor of your just dead weight.
It's true. It's true. Both of you are being held back by me. That's one of my favorite things about when somebody will get like really mad at me on like Reddit and they'll say mean things about me on. By the way, I'm going to do that at some point. I'm going to do how they do the celebrities read mean tweets.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get a mean tweets thing going for like Buffalo Bills content creators where they each read mean tweets about themselves with the background being everybody hurts.
Ooh, yeah,
in the background. I'm gonna try and get that. Anyway.
Hey, wait. Before we move on, Troy, hit me up on Twitter. Let's get you a Genesee Brewing Company pint glass, my man.
Do it, Troy.
That's 5. I've given away 5 pint glasses tonight.
Anyway, what I was going to say was that's the hilarious part about someone on Twitter or Reddit or all that stuff saying, "Oh, wow, Bruce, he's so arrogant, right? He's so self-centered. He's full of himself,
true.
right?" I'm like, yes, you're right. The guy who doesn't want his real name or face on anything that's the guy who is completely narcissistic.
Just self-fulfilling.
Right. Yep. The guy who doesn't want his real name or face on anything, that's the guy who's all about his own name in the lights. That's what it is. Yep.
That's a fact.
Yep. Yeah, Karen says we should read mean tweets one of these Fridays. I think we probably should. That's kind of like what this show is. This tonight's show has gone completely off the rails. But
as is tradition,
at no point have we claimed this show to be anything other than just entertainment.
Yeah,
it's just fun. It's just a good time. Right. That's all. It's just two dudes shooting the crap. Gonna talk some food, talk some football, hang it up, call it a day. Because you know what? The Brews Exclusive is a very serious show. That is a very, very serious show. We talk about Greek philosophy. We talk about logical fallacies. Like, it's really heavy crap.
Yeah.
And then I get on this show and I talk about burgers, and it's just a whole different thing.
Talk about where else? And I'm being honest with the people listening to this show, whether it's afterwards in podcast form or you're watching here live right now. When was the last time you've had a good, proper conversation about Applebee's with your friends? About
Seriously.
TGA Fridays, about the Jack Daniels burger? These are all things, they sit in our long-term memory, and they sit there and they just waste away. And what do, Bruce? We bring those old memories out from the back of your brain. Sometimes they're not the best memories, but sometimes they're memories like the delicious Jack Daniels burger that has the swipe of Jack Daniels jelly. And I remember, I used to like to scrape a little jelly off and toss it down my old gullet. I miss the Jack Daniels burger. Fridays would be smart to bring that back, because I can't tell you the last time I went to a Fridays.
Fridays, if you're listening, bring it on back.
We're also accepting new sponsors as well. Fridays,
we'll do it. Absolutely. I actually, I mentioned on Twitter not too long ago that, Arby's did that burger this past summer.
And it was really
and it was good.
It was
really good. And I got a message.
They have the meats, Bruce. They have the meats.
They have the meats. I got a message from an Arby's manager, and he was like, "Hey, Bruce, thanks so much for giving us a shout out. I really appreciate it. If you ever up in Buffalo, get burger on me. And I was like, you know what? I'll level with you. I'm actually shocked I'm still doing this. I really am. It's been 4 years, and I'm shocked I'm still in the space. But the best thing about having the followers and doing the best thing is things like that.
Yes.
It's the cool moments you get to impact and chat with people that you never would have otherwise done.
Without
really
social media, without this little seat that I sit in, I wouldn't have enjoyed a wonderful day of chicken wings with Alton Brown.
Alton Brown. Right?
Just wouldn't happen. Yeah.
There are people who follow me on Twitter. I'm like, you are so much better than me at like everything you do. Why are you
Chef
here?
Michael Simon follows me. I mean, he's like one of my heroes.
Dude.
Yeah.
Andy Anderson says, I think after introducing Hanlon's razor, it's time for Occam's razor. Oh, I already did that, Andy. I already did an Occam's razor episode. I did a Hanlon's razor episode of the Bruce exclusive not too long ago when I was talking about the Buffalo Bills handling of the Matt Araiza situation. So moving along, Nate, we're going to wrap this thing up with winners and losers from the NFL this week, the way we typically do. I'm going to start with my winner.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins is my winner.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you why Kirk Cousins is my winner. So
I'm going to mute this. Hold on. I'm just going to mute this so I don't have to hear it. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. All off season long, I found myself in a very strange position to be defending Kirk Cousins. Not because I think he's an elite quarterback, because I think he's not garbage. And one of the discussions that we had, we had Matthew Collier on, and we were discussing, he was like, listen, Kirk Cousins was already in an easy offense, right? The Kubiak offense, right? Yep. So I don't know how much better you're going to see from Kirk Cousins. And I kept defending him going, no, you don't understand. The Kubiak offense was good for quarterbacks 15 years ago. And if there was a head coach who was not going to allow that type of offense to evolve, it was going to be Mike Zimmer. And when you look at the way that Kevin O'Connell was able to take the most dangerous player on the field and consistently get him open with Justin Jefferson,
yep,
that goes to show you how much you can get a boon to your offensive ability and your quarterback's production from having just not a bad offensive system. Not even a good one, just not a bad one. And I think about what Jared Goff was able to achieve with Sean McVay.
Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me that you can't get better than that from Kirk Cousins? Because I think you can. Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. He's always been a better quarterback than Jared Goff. And look what Jared Goff was able to do in that system with decent weapons. And Jared Goff at no point had Justin freaking Jefferson.
He did not.
Who is maybe the best receiver in football. So
I think so.
For me, when I look at Kirk Cousins, I feel validated for this week. Now,
of course you do.
Because he looked unbelievably good last week, and he looked casual about it. Like it was ho-hum. It was just da-da-da-da-da-da. Also, the Vikings finally have not good, but just not terrible protection when it comes to offensive line. Yeah. Not good, but just not bad. Christian Darrisaw looks like the dude. Christian Darrisaw looks like he is the dude. Chris Trapasso, friend of the show, who's out there doing the Lord's work over at CBS Sports, did a little TikTok on Christian Darrisaw, looked great.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the biggest winner from the coaching change and from Darrisaw development, it's Kirk Cousins. I think there's a reasonable chance that at the end of this year, we talk about Kirk Cousins differently than we have historically.
And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of good Vikings content creators. Almost all of them were sort of beside themselves that franchise decided that instead of rebuilding, they were going to sort of retool and play it back with Kirk Cousins. It's one game in, but it feels like they may sort of eat their words on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I've said it before. I said it on this show. I think you win I think you win Super Bowl with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell. I think you can.
Relax.
I don't think it's going to happen because I think they're probably going to run up against the Bills or the Chiefs or a really good AFC team. But
I'll tell you what, that Monday Night Football is good. The doubleheader. It's too bad that the Bills will be on. I won't be able to see much of that game. I'll have to watch it on replay on NFL Plus. Have you gotten NFL Plus yet, by the way?
Oh, yeah. I have to have it for all 22.
Yeah, same.
It's a disaster.
It's not great.
It's an absolute disaster of a product.
Not great.
But thankfully, I have multiple televisions set up in my living room. So I can watch both at the same time. Oh, look at you. 2 TVs.
Dos Tivosos.
I actually had, at one of my old houses, I had 3. And I'm trying to get back to that. One of the sexiest things that Mrs. Nolan has ever said to me is, do you think we should get a 3rd TV?
So I have 2 here.
Baby.
We got 2 here. We got 1 up in the living room upstairs, a big 75-incher, and then we got a big 55 in the bedroom. So I know how that goes, man. I know how it goes.
They say no TV in the bedroom. That's garbage, right?
That's absolutely garbage.
It's complete garbage.
We don't use it every night, but when we wanna, especially in the middle of the summer when it's hot, we got the air conditioning in the bedroom. We want to just go watch Stranger Things while we lay in bed. Like, that's give me that all day.
We got a new bed this week.
What did you get?
What do you mean?
What kind of bed did you get?
It's a
what
gigantic king sized. Oh, with a brand name?
Yeah.
I actually don't know the brand name. It was a hand-me-down.
Okay.
We got a new bed. My grandfather is moving, and he has a brand new bed that he no longer needs. And so we got it from him. And so I was like, sure, yeah, it's a brand new mattress. We had our mattress for, 12 years, I think we've had this mattress. And Boo has, chewed a hole in it and all that stuff like that. Yeah. So we got a new bed, and it sits higher than the other one. So we had to build Boo like a little staircase.
I did see that. Okay, that's what that was for. Gotcha.
But now because it's higher, we're at perfect eye level for the television.
Ooh, nice.
In the bedroom. So that works out really well. Evie says, define brand new. I think he's had it for like 5 months.
Yeah, that's new.
And he's been out of town for 3 of them.
So he's barely used it.
Barely even used it.
Yep.
Because my grandfather travels all over the place. He's basically never at home. But yeah, it's brand new. And we have a mattress topper that we put on top of it anyway. So it ends up feeling like our old bed, or only more sturdy, because it doesn't have holes in it that have been compromised by a dog that chewed them up. So that's my biggest winner of the week. My biggest winner of the week is, this has been the most tangential show we've ever had. Biggest winner of the week is Kirk Cousins. Nate, your biggest winner of the week in the NFL.
I have 2.
Oh, it's cheating.
No, it's not. Because one's short, but my first biggest winner this week is Brian Daboll. I'm a big fan of Brian Daboll's. I've been a big fan of Brian Daboll's, and going for 2 in a situation that every 31 other coaches in the NFL are going for the standard kick a field goal, get this thing to overtime, try to make a stop on defense. I love the mindset, the culture that he's already developing there in New York. They're not a good football team. They should not have beaten the Tennessee Titans. And that's typically a really good litmus test for whether a coach is going to be good or not, is if they early on their career can steal a win or 2 against teams that are far, far superior or far more talented than your own. So yeah, big winner for me, Brian Daboll. The other one, I think a guy that's simply going under the radar that I think all right now he does is win. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. And in week 1 last week against Philadelphia, he plays 88% of the snaps, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 64 yards, and a score for 20.6 points in standard PPR leagues. Dating back to last season, over the last 5 weeks of the year, Bruce, 10 targets, 8 catches, 109 yards, a touchdown. Week 17, 11 targets, 8 catches, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. 11 targets, 9 catches, 91 yards, and a score. In week 15, 11 targets, 8 for 90 and a score. The week before, 12 targets, 8 for 73. The week prior, Bruce, 12 targets, 10 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. He has touchdowns in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his last 8 games, Bruce. He has a touchdown, and he has double-digit targets in every single one of those games. He's become one of the league's most underrated wide receivers at 22 years old, Bruce. He's in an offense that is now feeding him the football. And now this year, Bruce, DJ Chark's on the other side of him. And DJ Chark's a nice little piece of good pickup for the Detroit Lions. When they get Jameson Williams back in this fold, they've got a really solid, arguably just as good of a trio. Now, they may not have the Jamar Chase that I think the Cincinnati Bengals have, but they might have a better second and third option if you're Detroit. And then you add in TJ Hawkinson into that mix and DeAndre Swift and the best offensive line in football. To me, the Lions lost against Philadelphia. Philadelphia might win the NFC. And I thought the Lions put up a damn good fight and showed they can score points with the best of them. The question is, can their defense improve? Can Jeff Okudah come back and look better from injury? Can that defense be better? Because if they can, Bruce, that's a football team that's going to be in a wild card race late into this football season. It's going to be led by Amon-Ra St. Brown, getting double-digit targets every single freaking week.
The idea that there is an offense in football that is running through Amon-Ra St. Brown is like, no, I was a big Amon-Ra St. Brown fan. I tried to draft him, by the way, in our dynasty league. It didn't work. I tried to trade up and get him. And then Joe ended up getting him, Sneaky Joe DiBiase. And I tried to trade for him during the season, and it didn't work. And then at the end of the season, after it was all over, I got a trade request pop up in my inbox. And I was like, he wanted Aaron Rodgers. And we talked back and forth, and we eventually I gave Aaron Rodgers and Marcus Mariota for Kirk Cousins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a 1 and 2 threes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling really good about that right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling great about that right now. And I think that a lot of people just did that. They thought they're trying to sell high on Amon-Ra St. Brown because they thought it's fluky. It's fluky. He only got these targets because other people were hurt. And the fact of the matter is, right now they're running the offense through Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is their Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
You're right.
He's the engine that drives. He's the engine that drives it forward. Because Jared Goff said this about him in the offseason. He said, when we need a play, we just go to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Mm-hmm. When you need something, you know what? He's going to give me something. He's going to get open. He's going to catch the ball. If I need 8, he'll get me 9. If I need 10, he'll give me 11. If I'm in third and if I'm in second, if I get a negative play and I'm in second and 14 and I need to get 8 of it back, I'm going to go find Amon-Ra St. Brown. He'll get me 8 of it back.
Do you want to hear what I did right before week 1 of another fantasy league I was in?
What did you do?
Another fantasy league I was in, I didn't realize they had scheduled the draft for a Sunday morning before week 1, not last week, but the week prior at 10 a.m. And I had no idea that it was going on. Like I just missed the memo. And my first 2 picks had auto drafted, and I already had kept Derrick Henry. So on my first 3 picks, I had Derrick Henry, James Conner, Cam Akers, and another running back. Oh, I had Edmonds as well as a keeper. So I had Henry and Edmonds as a keeper, and my first 2 draft picks were Conner and Akers. So what I did is immediately after the draft, all I had was DJ Moore at the wide receiver position. Like DJ Moore and Allen Robinson were my top 2 wide receivers.
Did you trade Cam Akers for Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Cam Akers and a 9th round pick for Amon-Ra St. Brown and a 6th round pick before week 1.
W. Massive W.
Huge dub.
Huge dub. The biggest dub.
So I have DJ Moore and Amon-Ra St. Brown now, which I'm
loser this week. You're going to go ahead and you're going to start us off.
Yeah, I'll start us off. The biggest loser this week, I'm going to go with maybe a little recency biased here, but Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley allowed the haters to bully him. Changing who he was because of the results that he got last year, being an overly aggressive coach. Be who you are, man. Be who you are. And he should know that the decisions to go for it, to go for 2-point conversions, go for it on 4th down when other people's wouldn't. That was not the reason they lost in that Oakland game last year, that Las Vegas game against the Raiders. That's not the reason they didn't make the playoffs. Joe Lombardi's holding that team back. And listen, I like Joe Lombardi. It's the wrong coordinator for the wrong quarterback, in my opinion, because his average depth of target, his ADOT yesterday, was a bleeping joke. A bleeping joke, Bruce. That's a team. I think I saw Joe DiBiase post this today. 3 quarterbacks see more too high safety coverages than any 3 in the league. Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. And Allen has almost a full yard ADOT higher than both Mahomes and Herbert. He's almost got 2 full yards more than Herbert does. It doesn't affect Allen the way that it can sometimes affect Mahomes, but it certainly affects Justin Herbert. And Herbert and that offense are going to have to figure out ways to beat that too high safety look. And, listen, I'm a big Austin Eckler fan. He's got limitations. He's small. It's hard to turn around and hand the ball off to him. And they don't want to hand it off to Isaiah Spiller. And frankly, they're turning around and handing it to Sony Michel. He kind of stinks too. Yeah, I don't know. Like, they've got to throw the football down the field, even when teams are playing 2 high safety shells. And he proved it last night. They waited until they were down 2 scores to start throwing and had broken ribs from Justin Herbert before they started throwing the ball down the field.
Do you know who's a good quarterback for Lombardi? Davis Mills.
Yes, he is.
Give me Davis Mills in that offense.
Timing,
don't give me Justin
anticipation.
Herbert. Timing, anticipation, ball placement.
Yeah. And Tua.
Yeah. Give me Tua.
Tua would be a great quarterback for him.
But then again, I thought Tua would be fine in Shane Gailey's offense too. Similar thing to, what Ryan Fitzpatrick did,
Yeah.
Now, my biggest loser this week is Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's over for Mike McCarthy.
Very soon.
I think the second that Dak Prescott got hurt, his tenure in Dallas was over.
Dan Quinn.
His fate was sealed. Dan Quinn's going to be interim head coach, and Sean Payton will be there next year. I think that it was over the second that happened.
Yep.
And Mike McCarthy, I never thought was a good hire by any means.
No, me either.
Right?
Me either.
I think that it was embarrassing in his first press conference where he openly just admitted that he lied to ownership to try and get the job, about watching all of the Dallas games and about his time with PFF and all stuff like that. Yeah. When you listen to him talk about the offense that he wants to run and what's traditional and what's not, you just think this
ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work.
But he always had a shot if things came together this year for the Cowboys. But I don't know why people thought this was going to be the year for the Cowboys.
Me either.
They are one of the thinnest teams in football.
Yep.
When you look at their depth, it's just gone. If there's one
terrible
team that cannot afford to lose basically anybody, it's Dallas.
But can I say something about Dallas?
Sure.
Sean Payton isn't saving them. Sean Payton is not a general manager.
No, but I think that you might get some personnel power. Because
I don't think Payton's a good guy to give personnel power.
But he might get his own personnel guy, is what I'm saying. He might get to pick one.
Yeah,
and think about it. When was the last time that Jerry Jones ceded some personnel power? Who was it to?
Jimmy Johnson?
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Right? It was Jimmy Johnson. If Jerry wants to win another Super Bowl, right?
He's going to have to give up some of that power.
He's going to have to give it up a little bit, and he's probably going to have to give it up to somebody who he has a proven track record of results, someone he knows from the past. It's going to be Sean Payton, and it's going to be Payton's handpicked guy. So for me, when I look at this situation, I think Mike McCarthy, it's over. It's over for Mike McCarthy. So I would be shocked if he was still the coach week 16 of this team. Absolutely shocked at that point. Biggest loser this week, Mike McCarthy. Ladies and gentlemen,
we did.
Thank you for being here.
We did it.
Thank you for being part of this show. Thanks for following us along our windy path.
Very windy road.
Very wide. It's a very windy road here on Food for Thought. And I hope you stayed with us. And I hope you enjoyed the ride. And most importantly, I hope you didn't leave hungry.